5 mistakes to avoid in your 30s. When it comes to financial planning, your 30s are a critical time in your life. It is a magical decade, but financial mistakes are at their peak in this period. By this point, most of you have established a career, have a steady income, are married, and some of you may even be proud parents. You have more responsibilities during this stage of your life than you had in your 20s. The most important exercise to develop is proper money management. Now that you're in a different realm, you need to equip yourself for your career, climbing the corporate ladder, or becoming a future millionaire. Far too much is going on, and financial stability is on everyone's mind. As a result, you must take special care to consider and reconsider financial plans to secure your and your family's future. In this regard, the mistakes that must be avoided are: failure to establish a budget. Being in your 30s has many advantages. One of the most significant is that you probably have more disposable income than you could have imagined in your 20s. You might be surprised at how much of your income is spent on eating out or making impulse purchases. The issue is that you may not keep track of your expenditures. It is acceptable to indulge, but your finances may suffer without moderation. Make time to create a budget. Your 30s are an excellent time to start saving for emergencies and investing aggressively. Remember, you don't have to deprive yourself completely. Your goal should be to live within your means while making a few sacrifices to ensure a secure future. Social competition. Young people probably make the most common mistakes: social round and running with costly friends. When you compare yourself to others, you may develop a desire for things or a lifestyle that you cannot afford. You also don't want to be with friends who spend freely. You're probably caught up in the game of trying to keep up. However, it is a game in which when you win, you lose financially. Not saving aggressively for retirement. Retirement can seem far away when you're in your 30s. However, every dollar saved for retirement now has 10 to 20 more years to compound interest than money saved in your 40s and 50s. Save enough to get the employer match if you work for a company that offers a saving plan. It's the only time you'll ever get a guaranteed return on your savings. Set up an IRA that automatically transfers money from your checking account on payday. If you're not making the most of your contributions, promise that you'll increase the amount you save every time you get a raise. Your life motto should always be to live within your means. Ask yourself before each purchase and trip whether or not you can afford it. If you commit to saving first, I recommend designating 20% towards savings and investments, and spending whatever is left over, you'll be in good shape. Unfortunately, many 30-somethings have the opposite mentality. Living within your means should always be your guiding principle. Before making any purchases or traveling, ask yourself if you can afford them. You'll be in good condition if you commit to saving money first. I suggest setting aside 20% for savings and investing, and then spending the remainder. Unfortunately, a lot of people in their 30s think the opposite way. Making frivolous vehicle purchases. You've probably heard this. One of your most depreciating possessions is your car. So why do so many young people still indulge in overspending? The simple solution is boredom. Driving the same car for an extended period gets boring because you do it every day. But if you always buy a new automobile, you'll have to make car payments forever. The bottom line is that you shouldn't invest much money in something that will only be worth a small amount in the future. I'd advise purchasing a car around every 10 years. In this manner, you can save money for a down payment on a new car over the following 5 years. Try to finish paying it off in 5 years if you acquire a new one. You will have that cash and any additional money you could receive from your trade-in when you return to the dealership to help pay for your new car. An automobile is a depreciating asset, as is common knowledge. The majority of young people still overpay for them. Although it makes sense to enjoy the excitement of driving a luxurious car, the expense of maintaining one can strain your budget. An automobile should ideally be purchased every 10 years and paid off within 5 years. You have the next 5 years to put aside money for it. You could buy a more excellent car by combining your savings and the proceeds from selling your old one. Investments and insurance. Most people take a safe approach when investing. Individuals purchase bonds and certificates of deposit for fear of losing money. A 10% return on investment is typical for stock investors. Over the past century, this has proven true. Safe investments, on the other hand, only return a pitiful 2% annually. Spending money on these conservative investments is like paying someone else to do your work because you won't get paid what you're worth. For instance, if you put $10,000 in conservative assets at 30, you will have $18,000 by the time you are 60. Nobody wants to think about sickness and death, house fires, or life-threatening floods, but you must safeguard your assets and those around you, including yourself. If you have a family and dependents, you should go beyond your savings and get life and disability insurance to protect them if you die. When it comes to your home, as you accumulate more items around the house, you'll need to keep increasing the amount insured. Too many of us keep our insurance policies at the same level as when we first took them out, oblivious to how far our lives have progressed. These inquiries will determine your financial future. Your relationship will benefit from being open and honest about your finances. Similar to infidelity, economic issues frequently lead to arguments and divorce. You must be honest with your spouse if you want a happy marriage. The most typical blunders young people commit are undoubtedly jogging with pricey pals and engaging in social competition. You could develop a demand for items or a lifestyle you can't afford if you constantly compare yourself to others. Additionally, it would help if you didn't hang out with friends who waste their money. You're likely entangled in the game of trying to keep up, but it's a game where you lose when you win, at least from a financial standpoint. Nothing can frustrate you as much as the financial burden can after a certain age. So if you want to live comfortably, try to avoid these mistakes. That's all for today's video. If you enjoyed watching our content, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you again soon.